Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
Hey, and welcome back. Oh no, not again. I'm all backwards here. I just cannot handle it. Just to Serve TV live from Dedham.
And guess what?
There we
You
go.
did it. I can't do
There
it
we
again.
go.
I don't know what's happening to me today. I just don't know. You're away. You're in Dedham. Really, I mean, I'm so proud of you, Michel Bryant. I really am.
I'm barely alive. It is, that I'm going to complain here. The heat is just so oppressive. It's just drains you. So I need to get amped up here for our little final show.
Good thing you're not charged for a murder you didn't commit, or
True.
being a journalist. I
True.
mean, that could have happened to you.
True. I'm whining and moaning for very little reason. So anyway, good to be back. Good to have survived in the lovely Dedham confines. Totally empty, ghost town. I had a number of conversations with a couple of court officers, very curious about our Starlink. Everybody wants to know how it works, what it costs, how to do it. How can they replace what they've got? So do we have any commission? Do we have any agreement with Starlink where we're getting some cash for people who sign up?
Nothing. We are not. I tried, as a matter of fact, I tried to sign up for an Amazon influencer account with Justice Serve TV, and now I have to undo everything. My poor assistant was like, spending the whole day, and then I got things saying delete your account. Then I deleted my main account. Oh, it was a mess. Don't touch me with technology. But we have a guest, and in honor of this guest, I decided to have a prop. Now I don't get anything commissioned from this either, but it's a pizza, and I wonder who. Yum. Do you think if I yell at this pizza and say you're a bad pizza, I don't like you, pizza, I can be charged with witness intimidation? What do you think our guest will say?
I would say anybody can be charged with anything. That's what I'd say. Is that there's a lot of green on there? What is that? What is that pizza there? What's going on there?
It's a tri. It's a margarita, and then a 4 cheese, and then a basil. What do you think, Will?
That's too much. Too foo-foo.
Charge me with a crime because I'm yelling at a pizza.
Apparently, but they don't want you. They just want Turtle Boy. So.
Yeah,
I just want Turtle Boy. Well, I'll defend Turtle Boy. I'll go up there with my pizza and I'll defend Turtle Boy along with if they need a paralegal. I'm a great lawyer paralegal.
I worked at this tattoo shop on South Beach that had a place next door that had pizza just like that called Pizza Rustica. It looks just like a Pizza Rustica.
Is that a lot of pesto or something on there?
Yeah,
I don't know. There's a lot of green on there.
Well, I figured I'd get I would get a lot of different things because we have a lot to talk about. We have Aiden and we have Bradl and we have Bederow, but most importantly, we have Will.
Yes. Will, thanks for popping on at the kind of a last minute notice. But
it's my pleasure.
That arraignment today, you were key, although I don't recall they even said the friend today. The friend was not even mentioned as it was the first time. But, you have to go back to, I don't know, you know better than I. When was it? March? Was that when they?
I don't even remember.
That sound right?
When we first met you, the first time we met, first time.
Yeah,
well, actually, you met
was.
him, and then you wouldn't. Can I just tell you how great he is? I asked who you met, and you know that my partner wouldn't snitch. He would not become a snitch. He would not tell me who it was that he met, what it was about, what your name was. I had to learn it from the media, the next day. So I have a question. Will, have the police, because Michel Bryant's not snitching, have the police or anybody from law enforcement come and interviewed you about the incident that you witnessed?
Nope.
A non-incident that you witnessed?
Nope.
A pizza parlor?
Well, why would they? It's not like you were right there. It's not like you were actually in physical contact with the defendant, Aiden Carney. So, you were. So
yeah. No, I substituted his arms for mine.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah.
That may have been criminal. I'm not sure. That may have been a comedy felony.
Apparently.
By the way, in case you all didn't know, this is Will at T Glare. Follow him, please. He's fabulous. He's wonderful. He's terrific. He's supportive, and he's an important figure in this to lend support to Aiden Carney, Dr. Turboy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Aiden's case is it's too important. Everyone's freedom of speech is at risk here. It could set a very dangerous precedent. And so I love that everyone who was talking about Karen Reid is now talking about Aiden's case, because it's incredibly important. I mean, and the irony that I love here is Aiden got arrested and charged for basically exposing the corruption in Norfolk County, getting people to ask questions, but he never actually had any real proof of it, right? That then he gets charged, and when his bail is revoked and he gets thrown in jail for 2 months, there's evidence now that of just straight corruption. So Aiden was not able to prove the corruption until he was thrown in jail for trying to prove the corruption. I love that.
That is some irony, I'll tell you that. That is poetic.
Yeah.
And wrong. Yeah.
Right. Well, not even your attorney, Michel Bryant, Mark Randazzo, said that he didn't think this Karen Reid case, right? He's on record saying, and then they started throwing journalists in jail, and that's when his interest got piqued.
Yeah, and they're still trying. Obviously, they're still trying to do that. So,
yeah, that's how. I mean, that actually. I mean, it's the Streisand effect through and through. Them trying to silence Aiden because he just got louder and more popular. Truth be told, I was skeptical about whether or not Karen Reid was being framed. And then when they arrested him and charged him, because I had just talked to Aiden for the first time, like maybe just a couple days, like I had him on my show. I refused to allow Aiden to influence my opinion on whether or not Karen Reid was innocent, right? And then once I was looking at enough evidence, I was looking at the documents and statements and whatnot. Then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to talk to this Turtle Boy guy. And then I talked to him, had him on my show, and then like 2 days later, not even, maybe it might have even been the next day, that he got charged with witness intimidation. And so right there, I was like, okay, there's something really rotten going on here. And I went over during a period of like 5, it took me 5 live streams to go over all of his charges and to go and find because in the charging documents, there are video titles, timestamps, all that stuff. So I went through it all. I was like, okay. And then almost none of them are what they say they are. You know what I mean? And at that point, I was like, okay, he's being railroaded. Now, if I was doubting that Karen Reid is getting railroaded, now that doubt is gone, because I could see he's getting railroaded, and he's only getting railroaded. What's the motive to railroad Turtle Boy? Is to silence him. So now, it just solidified my opinion that much more as to the corruption in Norfolk County. So I mean, and then they just kept throwing these charges at him, and then they revoked his bail at one point.
And then they tried to revoke his bail at another point, underhand, sneakily, yes, right?
Twice at least, yeah, twice. Yeah.
By the way, we met. Just so you know, and I don't know if I can put it up there. Probably I can't, because apparently I've
banished. You have to go to your room.
Not only have we met you, we met Joey Kane today, who just gifted 5 more JSTV memberships. But apparently, I'm not an administrator anymore. There you go, Joey.
She's bitter. She's bitter about that. Yeah, Joey again said hi after we got up there, and I'm glad we had a chance to corral him to say hi, because he was being shy. But he popped in, said hello, and it was nice to hear from him. See the guy who's been so generous, and he gave me a little sweet roll today. So bonus for me.
A sweet roll.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Will, we had this hearing today that we're going to talk about. But before we talk about it, like legally, let's talk about how you felt watching this hearing today? What were your takeaways?
I didn't watch it. I only had audio.
We did too.
Yeah, let me interrupt.
Except for that guy.
Has it been released yet or not?
There is video. Turtle Boy just posted it.
Okay. He did, okay, because there was clearly a camera there and BZ was recording, and I thought they would have released it by now. So
yeah, Turtle Boy got it and he put it on his channel.
Okay.
But with your audio, I mean, sometimes even hearing it is very interesting. Give us your best takeaways from today.
Listening to Mark Bederow in action was a treat, most definitely. It's clearly, I mean, we're all very familiar with Mark Bederow and how he feels and how passionate he is. And so we've always all known that it was a good move for Aiden to hire Mark Bederow for his defense. But today we got to really see it in action, and I was blown away because it was very simple. I think the judge loved him, and I think the judge is getting over Cosgrove, if not is over Cosgrove. But just the way that the judge was just kind of like, all right, man, all right, is a week good? No, 2 weeks, Your Honor. All right, I'll give you 2 weeks. All right, I'll give you another week, 3 weeks, whatever. That kind of annoys me. But this is Judge Doolin we're talking about. He's been involved very early on. I won't say from the beginning, but he was involved from the night, the day after the night of the D&E Pizza incident. He was the first to see the video from that, the first to hear from Cosgrove promoting that as a 17th charge against Aidan Kearney. So he's been involved. I do agree, Will, that he sees this for what it is, which is, first-degree bullshit. And I think he's trying to massage his way around it and kind of get to the right conclusion ultimately. So I do think that's good. I think the issue you were involved with that night, that today was finally arraigned. Today, months later. And so Aiden said not guilty. And I thought there was a chance the old bail revocation might raise its ugly head, but it did not, because you arguably could use that allegation against the prior conditions of bail. Right. They did not. Cosgrove said, no, we have no issues with bail. And so they just continued what has been no contact, 100 yards away from those that are being so intimidated. And don't go get a slice at D&E Pizza, so, which is probably good advice for everybody. By the way,
the hearing that Aiden's running right now is not the hearing from today. It's a prior hearing, so we haven't seen it.
Oh, okay.
So all we had was the audio, which sometimes
it's interesting.
Went out.
It's theater of the mind. You put yourself in that room, and I've tried to add a little color as best I can. I'm sure it'll come out. They don't record that for nothing. But maybe and when you're a pool camera, as I believe BZ was the pool camera, you can't bogart that stuff. And some places might want to go, hey, well, we're going to exclusively reveal this. No, you cannot. You are basically there as the public's eye. So it's got to come out. So,
yeah, it always does.
I think he's the guy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, it's the guy who always does like the Canton, the
select board.
Right. Yeah. I think it's the same thing. And then, And then, I mean, Aiden's documentary crew might've been in there possibly. I don't know.
I don't know about that. Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. I didn't see what was going on in there.
Dina is correct. It was BZ. We were in there. She wouldn't sit anywhere near me. She was avoiding me at all costs. I just thought they would have released it sooner. Like, I don't know, the end of the hearing. So I don't know what they got up their sleeve.
Yeah,
it always takes a while for some reason. I don't know why, but it always takes a while.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. But Michael, I think that you're using the word bogart. You may owe my client. I represent Steve Bogart's been my client. You may owe him a fee. Okay.
I think that's a classic word.
Get your coin. Get your coin box out. Yeah. There's a lot of people don't realize that my practice is beyond criminal law and people getting charged with criminal law. Yeah. I mean. But as you all know, I sometimes put away that ladylike tone. I won't do because Will's on the show.
I don't want. Yeah, we don't want to offend Will.
You don't want to offend me. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right. So Will. So Bradl, Mr. Bradl, I thought was great. Okay, and then I thought there was the question from the judge. I know you heard it, and we talked a little bit about it. When Mr. Bradl said, "There's no reason to keep these things impounded, right? You can't embarrass the officers, I add, any more than they've already been embarrassed. You can't embarrass the prosecution, I add, any more than they've been maligned and embarrassed. And you can't you can't worry about affecting election shifts because that's not your duty. So the reason for this case, and I said this was the gauntlet thrown out. This case is a case that's very important because every case that starts like this goes to the Supreme Court, especially when it involves the issue of what constitutes intimidation, journalism, and the First Amendment. But then the judge chimed in and said to Mr. Cosgrove, what is the interest of the respondent? Pray you tell, sir. And Mr. Cosgrove went, yabba, 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 do.
Right. Yeah, a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, it's got it. Aiden's case has Norfolk County corruption written all over it. You know, I mean, the same. You're going to tell me that the same. It's not a conflict of interest that the same troopers who he was exposing in investigating the Karen Reid case, those same troopers show up to his house with guns and confiscate his tech and place him under arrest. That's not a coincidence. You know what I mean? And the fact that these cops are now all being rehomed from the Massachusetts State Police says a lot too. And you just look at Michael Morrissey's agenda. Look at Michael Morrissey. He hires 2 special prosecutors, just like he hired Brennan, the same method in which he hired Brennan, because nobody at the DA's office, no ADA is going to take that case because it's a clear violation of his First Amendment rights and Sixth Amendment rights. So they're clearly, they don't want to trample all over that. You know what I mean? They definitely want to hold on to their careers, and they probably have political aspirations. How's that going to look? So he hires these special prosecutors. One of them is now all of a sudden on hospice, apparently. But I mean, what I love is this. Aiden's attorneys are like, well, I don't care. You need to come here and testify, period. You need to, or just if you're so sick, recuse yourself. But it's very weird that he's too sick to do anything with the case. Ken Mello is too sick to do anything with the case, but he won't recuse himself from the case. Yeah.
How is that? By the way, everyone wants your shirt. There's people in our chat.
Let me see that. What is that? Let me see.
Glera Institute
of Law and Stuff. Yes. Okay.
Love it.
Yes.
Nice. So you talk about Mello, and maybe this would be a good time. You got a few minutes, right? You going anywhere? You get a few minutes. I thought maybe we'd run. This was the post interview, which included a lot of talk about Mello, because it seemed to me it was, I think, ridiculous is the word I was looking for, that he would somehow be able to hide out, and more importantly, the guy's still the attorney of record, which allows him some protection. It makes no sense at all to me. So let me see if this is about 5 minutes or so. Courthouse steps after everything's finished up.
I love that Cosgrove he comes out of retirement to trample all over someone's rights. That's basically what he did. He just came out of retirement just to trample all over Turtle Boy's rights.
And there's no pressure on him. It's an easy gig. And he's collecting at least 3 checks from what I heard, a couple of pensions plus this latest special appointment, right?
Well, but pox on him. I'm sorry. At some point, you got to say no. All right. At some point, you have to say no. Just like in the trial of Karen Reid, and I'm going to be on the rant for a second. Where was Lally? Where was McLaughlin when Hank Brennan's doing those things? They didn't stand up and say, "Hey, that's wrong. I'm out of here." I'm going to tell the truth. I think at some point you got to stand up and you got to tell the truth. And as far as I'm concerned, he's the subject of my next rant.
Okay. Okay, so again, just a few minutes from post hearing, and Mello's name comes up a couple.
We just want to be heard on it. There's all sorts of issues with it, and we're just going to fall back on the papers that we filed on it.
Great coverage, Michael.
At this point, we're just trying to get a hearing, so we can make our arguments that we've laid out.
Have you ever seen a case where you've had an attorney that started off?
That's Jess Machado, by the way.
Now a key witness.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Based on communications with Lindsay and Kate. This is a very interesting situation.
It's unprecedented for me. I've never had a case where a prosecutor got involved with the witnesses and then became somebody that was going to have to be potentially testifying as a potential impeachment witness or a fact witness, getting calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, while my client is in the house. It is unprecedented.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
make of the judge's kind of laid back
Yeah.
vibe today? He
Yeah.
seemed in a great mood. He
Yeah.
laughed a lot.
Yeah.
Can we interpret that as him not taking this seriously? How should
Oh
we
no.
interpret
Oh
this?
no. Judge Doolin is the best. I mean, you don't get any better than him. He's been around. He's walked the walk. He was in the DA's office. He's been a defense lawyer forever. He's terrific.
Can you pause that for just a second?
You
he's
bet. Okay.
I have a thought there. So I think Jess just might have chosen her words poorly. That's all, because I know what she meant. Because Judge Doolin was laughing and he was in good spirits. And I think what she was trying to say was, do you think Judge Doolin is just looking at this case like it's a total joke? You know what I mean? Not that he's not taking the case seriously and doing his job. I don't think that's what she was implying and asking him. And I think Bradl just misunderstood. And
Well, I think he gave the appropriate answer, and we get into it in further detail as a bit of a tease when Aiden comes down to talk because, I had some thoughts. Go ahead. We can go ahead.
which is right there.
All right, here we go. This is the guy you want to talk to.
Hey, Aiden, I noticed you took part in the at bench hearing conferences. How'd that go for you?
Well, if Karen can do it, why can't I?
Was it worthwhile?
Yeah, find out interesting stuff that you don't know is happening, but you probably should know. Yeah, you can't talk about them, but apparently you're allowed to, so why not?
So how did they went? Are you comfortable with everything as it's developing?
It went great. I mean, we got a lot of stuff out there. I mean, the big thing is there's all this discovery that's impounded, and we've had it for months and months and months, and we can't talk about it. There's no reason not to talk about it. It's in the public interest. It's outrageous, and there's just this cloud of secrecy that exists in Norfolk County where they think they can operate in the dark and do whatever they want, and no one else gets to know except them. And that's just not how the United States of America works. It's not how freedom works.
Right.
So I think it was a good day. I think Judge Doolin seemed pretty receptive to it. So yeah, good day.
Jess mentioned this. She said it's kind of jovial at times at those sidebars. In fact, I was glad to see you were up there because maybe I thought it would be less yucking it up with the good old boys. But I know how it works. You got the judge, he knows the attorneys, they're together on a lot of different stuff. But with you sitting there kind of monitoring it, did you feel like he took it as seriously as he should?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't talk about what was discussed up there, but it was interesting. Let's put it that way.
Aiden, how do you feel about Attorney Mello possibly becoming a witness in this case? He was originally the prosecutor, and now we're looking to have him moved over to be a witness. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about the integrity of this initial investigation and case, knowing that he may now be a critical part of testimony in regards to these witnesses?
Well, it's undeniable that he is a witness. He acted unprofessionally, in my opinion. He, instead of sending these people to the police, he acted as their own personal police, and he became a witness, and he's definitely a witness. So
it looked to me like the court was looking for his name in terms of being attorney of record still. I saw the clerk looking through is Mello an attorney of record in this case still?
Yeah, he's still on all the emails.
That's ridiculous. I mean, why is that?
You'd have to ask him.
Inertia.
And yeah, I mean,
He hasn't moved.
you'd have to ask him. I don't
Look
know
how
why
peeved
he did it,
Bederow is.
so,
Bederow's just annoyed
so-
with the whole subject.
As far as the Mello situation, there are issues, obviously, but the bottom line is never in 26 years have I ever seen a situation where an alleged victim of a crime calls a prosecutor in the middle of the night or while the crime is happening instead of 911 or the police. Once that
Right.
happened, he made himself a witness, and that's just the way it is, and that has to be resolved. He's entitled to a fair trial. He's entitled to a trial without conflicts, and we're entitled to call someone who is a fact witness. And the fact that he happens to be the prosecutor, as regrettable as that is not a basis to get a pass. So we fully expect that we will have him removed from this case and potentially subpoena him and have him testify. And I think it will be favorable. We'll see.
How confident are you that you are going to receive all of the discovery that you've asked for in 3 weeks?
we'll have to wait and see. I take Mr. Cosgrove at his word. He did jump on this late. Other people were involved beforehand, but we're entitled to what we're entitled to, and we're going to get it, and we'll continue to complain until we do. And he's, again, that's the centerpiece of a fair trial. We're entitled to material. We want it. And if you don't give it to us, then that's at your own peril.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on your statements regarding Michael Proctor? You said that he's out doing a press tour, that the expectation of privacy has kind of all gone out the window at this point. Can you talk a little bit more
Yeah,
about
Michael Proctor is a disgraced, corrupt former state trooper who was terminated for his conduct in the case that Mr. Kearney covered, and that same agency is the one who arrested him. There are communications which are impounded, I'm not going to get into them, that I think would shed a lot of light onto that. Now, as far as them being impounded for witness privacy issues, this man went on a press tour a few weeks ago and emphatically denied doing anything. We don't agree with that. But if you're going to put out piecemeal coverage publicly, trials are supposed to be fair, open, public access. The public ought to see exactly what he was saying and who he was saying it to before he was arrested and why that was. It's just public access and part of a fair trial. That's all.
So who's the Commonwealth protecting at this point?
I'm not going to speculate on who they're protecting. They seek impoundment of virtually everything, which is the antithesis, again, of what a fair trial is. There should be a presumption of openness. There should be light, not darkness. But for whatever reason in this county, in their high-profile cases, they seem to have a presumption of darkness. We don't accept that.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I love
Appreciate it.
that.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Cheers.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
clapping too on that. That was great.
Yeah,
That
I
was
mean,
great.
this was the first time we really got to see Mark Bederow in action. He had attended a couple of other proceedings, but it was always Mr. Bradl that did the chatting. And as I mentioned earlier, we are going to have Mr. Bradl on. He's acquiesced to my, pestering, and we don't have a time picked yet, but it'll be soon. We'll follow up on that.
Hey, Will, he's a fanboy.
Yes, ma'am.
Michael Bryant is a fanboy. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm a
of the
fanboy too.
Of the BABs, okay? He's a fanboy, all right?
I'm a fanboy too of Bederow, man. Like, I'm lucky to call him a friend, and he's just a badass, and he's brilliant, and he means every word he says. I can tell you that from personal knowledge that Mark Bederow is as passionate as he appears to be. Tim Bradl as well. I don't know Tim like I know Mark, but I did meet Bradl once, and we had about maybe about a 3-minute conversation, and he spent that entire 3 minutes showing me, expressing how passionate he was about the First Amendment.
He really
free
is.
speech.
And you could just, it comes out of his pores when he starts making those arguments,
Right. Yeah.
On a different subject, Emily C. had earlier posted a chat. Linda and Michael, what did you, and I want to put Will, actually I'm throwing this to Will. What did you think of AJ dropping hints of being attorney for future cases for Karen? Also 5,000 pages? Turtle Boy, that's all impounded too? That's all impounded, right?
Yeah, at this point, on those pages, I'm going to have to look for an audit on that number, because it's 5,000 pages. A ream of paper is about 500 pages, right? 10 times that.
There was only 3,000 in the TUI report.
It
for
looked like about this, like two
great
packs
great point,
with
Will.
a clip on them. Each had a clip. I would say an inch or more thick max.
That's
so
wild.
I don't know where that 5,000 figure comes from, unless there was a hard drive accompanying the actual hard paper, and it had other stuff on it. So
how about Bederow turning Judge Kearney Rule 14 around and like slamming the Commonwealth? Will, what'd you think about that? Like, hey, under this new rule, you have to go out and you have to interview these people and find this stuff and tell us what happened. You can't just sit back on your laurels and say, no mas.
Sorry, I didn't really understand the question.
Okay, Judge Kearney, she was charged with that Rule 14, the discovery rule, to amend it to make it more discovery friendly. And Bederow said, hey, in March, the rules changed, Commonwealth, alluding to this thing that she was ahead of. I don't think she intended it to help Turtle Boy. What are your thoughts?
No. I don't think she intended that at all. I mean, I don't. What's funny is the vibe I got from Kearney during the Karen Reid case in regards to Turtle Boy was she was just dismissive of him and the subject of him, not so much like trying to, she didn't seem on the bandwagon of everyone else that's trying to like shut him up and lock him up. You know what I mean? She seemed just kind of like, we're not even going to mention him because she didn't like the fact that he gets as much publicity as he does. And that's the interesting thing too, I can't wait to find out what's in. I mean, I had no idea that Proctor had texts that were discoverable for Turtle Boy's case. I had no idea he had any connection to Turtle Boy's case at all. So now my interest is piqued beyond any other point that I've been following this case. And I've been following Turtle Boy's case since the beginning.
And we know Proctor's texting. So one can only imagine how inappropriate, how vulgar that it might be. And they looked at those at sidebar. For those who have just heard it, what happened was there was a specific request for those saying, Michael Proctor's a has-been and never was a loser. He's a non-factor. Why are we protecting these texts? And everybody had them. They just are impounded. And so the court allowed them to come to sidebar. That was the first of the sidebars and actually go over. I think there were 4 is what I heard. 4 texts from Proctor to Proctor involving Aidan Kearney. The hope was that at that sidebar, the court would be convinced, okay, we're going to take the impound off of those. That didn't happen. The judge is letting everything simmer for a couple of weeks. And of course, I asked about those on the courthouse steps. Nobody was going to cough up exactly what they are or what they mean. But those, among all the other stuff impounded, that stuff's got to be kicked loose soonest. Because who is being protected by the impoundment? A former disgraced trooper? That's
right.
ridiculous.
And I don't see. I see Kearney impounding those things and keeping the impoundment, but I don't see Doolin.
Yeah,
Doolin. I don't see him doing that.
Yeah. No, I don't either.
So I mean, I'm dying to know what's on those texts. I'm dying to know.
Just count on inappropriate and poorly worded.
I can guarantee you that if Proctor hates Karen Reid and hates David Yannetti, he hates Turtle Boy. Guaranteed. Like despises Turtle Boy. So I'm dying to know what Proctor's saying about Turtle Boy.
Well, when we get those, can we have Will on to read those?
Will may want to read. They said something to the effect that, Michael, you were in the courtroom. Again, you could kind of like pick up the whispers, I guess. They said something to the effect that there's text also with another person who was also on a media tour defending her family, and there's no reason the text between the two of them shouldn't be released. So we kind of gathered who the texts are between, right?
I'm assuming it's Jen McCabe. I'm assuming, it's a McAlbert connection. We know that, but
or Elizabeth Proctor.
Could
possibly.
Be. Yeah, it could be. Although that'd be interesting.
But Jen McCabe is definitely more. I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
I'd say Jen McCabe is the best guess.
So back to my question on the courthouse steps: who's everybody protecting now? Why would they be protecting the McAlberts? Why?
I mean, that's
kind of a rhetorical question.
That's the best question.
Yeah.
I mean, and how amazing would it be if Turtle Boy's trial turns out to be instrumental in getting justice for John O'Keefe?
That's a great point. If they keep pressing and this keeps moving forward behind me, that could be exactly what happens.
Thank you.
The irony in that is beautiful.
Wouldn't that would be just poetic pain in the ass justice? Yeah.
Do you think? And here's a question I threw out today. Do you think that if those texts are like protecting, to protect the people in power, right? And Cosgrove knows about power, right? That's, he's supposed to be a special prosecutor. He's supposed to have the power, not go back to somebody and ask what he should do. Please pass the pepper. Thank you, as always, Lyndon Michael. But do you think they would dismiss Turtle Boy's case rather than release that stuff?
Wow.
I'll take either. Because the thing is, like, the guy in me that really wants to see a trial, like we all want that drama of a trial for sure, but at the same time, like I've become friends with Aiden, and I don't like to see him going through what he's going through.
Right.
So I'm hoping ultimately that they just dismiss his case. But I am also, if it goes to trial, I am very much looking forward to Bradl and Bederow exposing some real corruption. I'm really looking forward to that.
And I think
I'm really looking forward to seeing Kate Peter sitting on the stand. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ken Mello sitting on the stand.
Yeah, that case could be what Karen Reid 1 was in terms of those characters, those presentations, those embarrassing people. It could be. We missed it in trial too because nobody wanted to bring those people on. It could blossom in an Aiden trial.
Yeah. By the way, Josh H says something that I actually feel he's absolutely right. I'm just going to say Turtle Boy has a better 1983 claim than Karen. Turtle Boy's claim is I think, absolutely. I think if he wins this case.
And that's a federal statute, right?
The federal statute, civil rights, that's a area I practice. I've won a number of cases going 12-0 in federal courts doing that civil case. They're very hard. But boy, when you get to the actual misconduct, you get to someplace that people that know they're guilty of misconduct and they're doing it for an improper purpose, then the courts lift that qualified immunity. And I don't think anyone's going to try to protect Proctor. So my next question is to Will. I want this. I'm going to say a name. Okay. I'm going to say, actually, I'll say a couple names. Yuri Buchanan, reaction.
Oh, dirty, cocky, arrogant, dirty and arrogant.
And now he's in Southie. Now
and rehomed.
And rehomed.
Yeah.
I heard that first it was to the South Boston or whatever. And then I heard it was to some sort of training department where he's going to monitor administrative duties or some BS, which basically means, bring your lunchbox and sit at your desk, you moron. Don't do more damage.
It's desk duty because I saw the order, but I didn't quite read it all the way through. Let me ask you another one. Supposedly she hasn't been back to her job since the trial. Dever, Will?
Oh, yeah. She's, I mean, it certainly seems like there is a vibe of a panic going on, because all of these things are happening very close to each other, which just amplifies my hope that there's federal intervention.
Yeah. Lexi has a question. Did you see Jen at the courthouse today? I guess that's you,
no, Jen. Although Dina suggested because the weather has been so hot and hellish that Jen must be around somewhere because she brings hell wherever she goes. But I did not see her. There was the first part of that question that we jumped over about the 5,000 pages. We got sidetracked into that. But the first part of the question was about Alan Jackson still representing Karen and what might happen going forward. And people were kind of, their interest was piqued by that. First of all, when he says he will always represent Karen, as an attorney, you have an obligation to former clients, even if you're done, to maintain certain confidences. And so in a sense, whether you do any work for them ever again, you always represent that former client. I'm not sure what he was talking about when he phrased it that way, but we do believe, and this is what people were alluding to, there might be some civil matters down the road that he gets involved with, or there might be subsequent criminal investigations that he becomes involved with. It was all very vague, and I think that's what people are most curious about.
Yeah. I mean, first off, since we're here, supporting Aiden, got to give him a shout out because he had that well-deserved and fantastic interview with Alan Jackson.
Yep.
And I texted him earlier because I was like, I'm not sure if it matters to you, but I just saw this thing and I sent him the article that Ozzy Osbourne had just played his final performance, right?
Wow. Right.
And Aiden had as many people watching that interview as Ozzy had in the stadium that he was playing his final performance.
Wacky.
I was just like, I don't know if you want to know that, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. Those are two universes colliding. When I saw him after the hearing and he was walking,
40,000 people, man.
Here. Yeah, crazy. 40. I know. To be honest with you, I thought that was lower than I expected. I really did.
And that's just on YouTube. That doesn't count like Twitter, Rumble. I mean,
but I'm blaming
Facebook.
that on the 4th of July weekend. That I think subsequently more and more people have looked at it, and we've certainly recommended that they do. When I saw him leaving after court, I said, that was an amazing interview. And as I tell most people, I say, the best way to look good as an interviewer is to get a great guest. That's how you look good as an interviewer. That's why we have you on, Will, to make us look better. But yeah, I mean, Alan Jackson, he was made for this kind of forum. He can let loose, right? He can be a little more honest. He can let a little bit of language fly, but not too inappropriate. And he also protected what he had to because of whatever deal he's got in the works with Karen Reid and their production that's to come.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, man. And I am so grateful because I think I really needed that too. It was to be around Karen's defense team and actually have like conversations with them, because I like to know from the horse's mouth and behind the scenes like how passionate they are. And they're all, I mean, every single one of them absolutely and totally passionate about Karen's innocence and defending her. And the more this corruption gets exposed, the more the fire in your belly. If you're a fighter, the way that Karen's defense team, each individual member of Karen's defense team has that fighter spirit in them, where they're like, this isn't right, and I am barreling forward full speed ahead because this is absolutely wrong.
And credit to Alan. He also, as you know, I've said it's the best closing argument I've ever seen. But credit to him that he talked about what a fighter Karen was. And then today we played, and I don't know if we could do it again. You know that the point when Brennan tried to prevent the team from coming into the hearing that involved Turtle Boy, right, by not telling them that it was going on. There's at the very end, she gives a stare to Hank Brennan that, quite frankly, that it would frost the summer over as well it should, and showing that he was screwing with her life and she wasn't going to take it. I don't know if we have that, Michael.
I do have that. Let me see if I can get it. Remember when I played it earlier? It was in Portuguese. I'm not quite sure. I have no idea why, but
that's wild.
Bem cientes do nome dessa pessoa.
See, there it is. It's in Portuguese. Mas não. But what's weird is when I played it just like on my laptop, it's not in Portuguese. So we're more interested in the look than the sound. So let me zoom ahead here so we can get to that look.
He sounds better. I mean, it's an improvement.
Yeah, he may sound a little more coherent. Let's see if.
Yeah.
I don't think Paula would be impressed.
He sounds.
7 meses de material que aparentemente pode incluir.
I like to see them just walk in because it's just such a badass moment.
Yeah, it is. It's dope.
It's like
hey, what are you guys doing? What are you doing in my hearing? What's happening?
Look at Yannetti. I love Yannetti, dude. He's like, yeah. What the shit
to rough somebody up in an alley?
Yeah, what the shit are you trying to pull here?
There's the look.
And Aiden is loving this right now. Like. Aiden is like, this is dope. I'm sitting at the same table with.
Then she gives him that squint. Huh?
Yeah, last little what for?
Play that one more time. Let me see that one more time.
Oh, you want to see it one more time? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Let me back it up just a touch here. Hold on. We'll get the glarer for the glarer.
To get the glare.
Oh, look at that, Eddie. Look at him too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he is.
Let me just punch you one time.
What are you trying to pull here, bro? You think you're slick, huh? Piece of shit. Look at her. I love it.
Watch this. Watch the end when she gives me that last.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I love it.
It was good. We loved it. And anytime anyone decides they want to give Hank Brennan the benefit of the doubt, start with that. Okay. Start with that. All right. But kudos to Alan, who said that they were driven also by Karen's, 3 years. Imagine being under for 3 years, being under an indictment for a murder that you did not commit. A murder.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I think we're going to see a lot of action from the Reid family moving forward. Mm-hmm. I got absolutely that impression from Bill Reid.
He's a tough guy too. Talk about tough. Oh my gosh.
This guy, he gave me, only because there was so much information, it was such a long time ago. I can't remember almost any of the details that he gave me, but he gave me, we were sitting in the lobby of the courthouse and he gave me just a rundown history lesson on Michael Morrissey. And then he pointed out, he was like, see the civil attorneys we got now? And I said, yeah. I was like, oh, they're civil attorneys. Okay. And then I asked him, I was like, so when this is all over, like, are you planning on, are you just going to enjoy the fact that it's over and just breathe and just move on with a peaceful life, moving forward? And Bill just goes, well, Will, they've been ruining my life for the last 3.5 years, and that was all he said. So I think that what's going to happen here, I mean, at least it's on the table. They might change their mind. They might decide, hey, maybe, but I'm getting the impression that the Reids are not going to just forget that that this entire local government tried to throw her in prison just to protect someone for whatever reason.
And let's not forget the trolls out there who also followed suit to try to destroy him and his family and everything they worked for, especially, he and his wife are older. They're not 20 years old, right? By the way, Film Freak said, thank you for that clip. Clarence Look was priceless. I think we all missed it the first time out. We were so intent on the team,
I missed it too.
Right, the team coming in. But then today when Michael played it, and I was like, holy shit, in light of what AJ said, I was like, whoa, I got to watch that again. And especially the last squint. Yeah. Wow. Tough.
Hey, I got a question for our people. Based on the hearing today, there was discussion, and I'm sure you heard it. I'm not sure in context what it all means, but there's this inventory of 10 collected items. That's what they talked about. And then there was some suggestion, well, maybe it's only 9. But it's the defense saying, what's the deal? Where are those items? Will, any insight on that? Is it phones? What do you think it is?
No idea, honestly. I think it's interesting that they still have his devices. I mean, they gave him a thumb drive with the contents of his devices on it, but they still have his devices for whatever reason. It's very bizarre. And I remember I was on Melanie Little's channel a while ago, and we were going over Brian Walsh's the request for a warrant from Michael Proctor, right? And it just lists basically how Michael Proctor, this proved to us that Michael Proctor knows how to conduct an investigation. And so there was just all of this, like just every I was dotted and every T was crossed. And then, so we found that interesting, Melanie and I. And then what we noticed was they took Brian Walsh's tech and gave it back to him like the next day.
This is standard usually what happens, right? Yeah.
And Turtle Boy was in the chat when we were going over this. He was like,
where's
don't
mine?
tell, he was like, don't fucking tell me that they gave him back his tech, right, in the chat. And then Melody's like, oh man, he's gonna love this. And then when she read that part, he was like motherfucker, like blasted it in the chat.
Well, interestingly enough, I don't know if you watched the interviews with Michael Easter when we had him on. He was the expert that never got to testify. Great guy, from the former FBI agent. He said that Proctor actually wrote some of the preservation letters to save some things and then never followed up, never sent them. So if you're not sending things, preservation letters as a cop, there's a reason why you don't want that stuff back. Because it may exonerate the person you're investigating, is my theory, right? So he knows what to do when he can do it. Yeah, Michael is on fire all the time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, he knows how to conduct an investigation. This wasn't negligence. This was him trying to railroad Karen Reid, period. That's just that simple. Yeah. I mean, she's acquitted. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's absolutely no reason to sugarcoat any of this anymore, especially now with Aiden's case. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the spirit of what Aiden does it seems absurd to sugarcoat anything involving Aiden's case now. You know what I mean? Considering what he discovered through his own journalism and what his case is going to end up proving when it goes to trial, if it goes to trial. So I mean, this is
but you know crazy. What? All these people that are in this case that screwed up this case, the Walsh case that you mentioned, that's a whole different animal. And because of their corruption, they may that case could be in danger. And there's no doubt in my mind about that case. I mean,
that's
right.
more about somebody who is probably guilty. That's my opinion based on what I've read. Could get off because of their shitty work. Yeah,
right.
Because speaking about these protective orders and these preservation requests that Linda, you say Proctor wrote, then maybe never even sent or never dealt with. They had these were granted today. It was kind of quick and over early, and maybe in the audio you missed this, but the defense had made 2 motions to preserve notes and video sent to all appropriate parties in the Commonwealth law enforcement. Those were granted. Now, that in this particular system and a vial of crack will get you high. I don't know how much good it is for the court to just say Dominic granted, because it's requiring the Commonwealth and the law enforcement to actually preserve stuff and not hide stuff. But that was done today.
I mean, the thing is, hopefully this Judge Doolin is the kind of judge that he seems to be, because the question that we should be asking is the same question we were asking with the Karen Reid case, which is why, if the prosecution is acting in the interest of justice, why are they concealing things and hiding things rather than putting everything out in the open? Why?
Well, that's one of the reasons why we're still on this case. As you know, right. The mainstream media left, right? You put out a tweet earlier this morning, saying you couldn't be there, but you're there in spirit. When we all know that, right? It was like Jess Machado and Michael there, right? Trying to push for that, because you have to keep Aiden's case in the forefront, because his case now is extremely important nationally for every single one that's interested in, like, the U.S. Constitution, the First Amendment, anything, right? I think we lost Michael. I think either
we did,
we either his Starlink went or he's gone, like and all. But it's important. It's important. Will, I mean, I can't explain it enough. Just make the final.
It's too important. Every single I gotta say, because I was on this gentleman's stream earlier today. I forget his last name because he's Swedish. His name is Nick, but he's a really, really awesome guy. Great channel. And Andrea Burkhart was on there, and Bob Mata jumped up there. Melanie Little jumped up there, and just to know that all of the same people who are covering the Karen Reid case are covering Turtle Boy's case right now. We all see how important this is. Nick Starro, thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil. And we had Dina back again today. I know Michael's got the control of the, Dina's bringing all her resources back. I know we have an interview with her that once you leave, we'll play. We told you 10 minutes. I don't know if it's because we just love you so much, want to keep you on forever, or we lied. I don't know. Choose. Choose. Where's Chloe, by the way? Where's Chloe? Talk about justice. Where's Chloe?
Right.
Yeah. Dead?
Chloe's dead. Yeah. Come on. Chloe's dead. Don't. I mean, it's ridiculous. The whole thing behind Chloe is asinine. You're not going to sit here. She wasn't rehomed in Vermont. There's no proof that was Chloe at all. Right. It was just somebody with a German Shepherd. You know what I mean? Right. Chloe's gone. It's not a coincidence that Chloe's gone. And it's not a coincidence that the floor was ripped up, devaluing, making the house less valuable. It's not a coincidence that that the Brian Alberts sold that house for $50,000 under market value. None of these things are coincidence. It's not a coincidence that the wounds on John O'Keefe's arm look like dog bites, because they are dog bites and dog scratches. It's just that simple. Like, the one thing that following this case and the result of it taught me is that everything that it seems is. There's no reason to speculate on it. There's no need to doubt yourself. There's no need to doubt your eyes and your common sense, because everything that you believe in this case is absolutely plausible and probably is.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you. I think this is if you had to ask the jurors one question, all right, let's just pause for a second. If you had to ask the jurors one question, what would it be? Come on.
Easy. Everyone already knows my answer to this. Did you notice that the shoe in the picture on the screen was different than the shoe that was held up by Sergeant Buchanan in the trial?
And they all know the answer. And it started the show with somebody talking about the shoe. And we did have somebody from Nike on who was in our chat who was right. It was a researcher the day of the verdict before we even knew.
She was sure. She was like, "I'm marketing for Nike, dude. Like, I know that's an absolutely different shoe."
All right, Michael Bryant.
Michael Bryant. He's back.
I'm sorry. I missed the shoe conversation. I know it is Will's favorite. I'm sorry I missed that.
I know we had to we're gonna have to let Will go, so I wanted to ask that one question, and then we'll move on to Dina. We don't need to keep him while we play Dina's interview, unless he wants to stay.
I mean, I got a little bit more energy drink here. I don't mind.
Okay. Oh, great.
Here's what we'll do anyway. Just to before we launch Dina.
Yeah.
I put that to fire off at 8:00, and we can just do that. That's fine. Just let it stand alone at 8:00, and finish talking. I'll just spend a few minutes with Will. We'll get to Dina when that thing airs at 8:00.
Okay.
How about that?
That's fine.
Here's what happened. So I did, I wasn't looking for a big dramatic exit. The wind, there's thunderstorms in the air or whatever. Starlink went flying. So this is a testament to Starlink that it flew off the top of the truck, crashed to the ground, and here we are. Put it back together, and I think we're on. So unbelievable.
Dizzy says she already has it queued up.
She already has it queued up, so let's listen to Dina. Anything Dizzy wants. I like this part. Famed trial attorney.
Justice, where are you?
Hey, welcome. Look who's creeping up on me, as she generally does. Dina is here. How are you, Dina?
I'm good. Getting back to normal life a little bit.
Yeah, but that's weird, right?
It's really weird after, all these years of being down here all the time and skipping out of work and making up excuses and all that. I mean, I've enjoyed the beach and doing family stuff and just, getting a little bit of normalcy before the whole movement starts back up with justice for Boston police officer John O'Keefe.
So let's talk about today. It's Aiden Kearney's latest hearing. Maybe not anything of substance, and we'll get into that in a little more detail later. But I want to talk to you about where the movement is now. Do you want to be the face of the movement, or did that just happen?
I think we're all faces of the movement. Just some of us are a little bit louder than others, and you need that. There's diversity in all of us. So I'm just a loudmouth, and it just happened to work out well, But the movement's still strong. It's just all of us are catching up on all the things that we put off. Family time, bills, and straightening out your house, and just getting back. Like the other day, I went to the beach. It was just I woke up really early, and it was like, oh, I don't have to be at court. I don't have to be. It's just it's different. It's different, but it's good. It's good.
So this the whole Aiden issue or issues, it's unfolding slowly. Are you? I don't know if surprised is the right word. Are you bothered, upset, mad that it isn't really going away in light of the Karen Reid verdict?
Well, in all honesty, we all want it just to be dropped immediately and him to be free of all this stupidness of what the Norfolk County DA has done. It's terrible. The wheels of justice here in Norfolk County is just horrendous. We know it's always slow in justice, but this is just mind-boggling, especially after Karen's been free. We've seen what they've done, and we haven't even seen everything. I mean, more's going to come out, but I wish today Turtle Boy could walk out, Aiden, and just walk out and it be done and over
with nothing hanging over his head.
Nothing hanging over his head. I mean, look what he's done for not only us, for Karen, for the state of Massachusetts, for Norfolk County. He's exposed a lot.
Those of us that have followed this and know a lot of the backstory, look at this and say, well, the case upon which the witness intimidation is based ended in an acquittal. In fact, ironically, virtually none of those witnesses, Jen McCabe an exception, maybe Carrie Roberts, none of those he was alleged to have intimidated even appeared at the trial. Were they just so intimidated? Or was it Mr. Brennan's decision?
I just think they're hiding them out completely, you know, because they have some bad stuff on their side that they've done. They've always accused all this side and Aiden and stuff of intimidating and doing all this stuff. And it's being exposed now of how awful that other side is. You know what I mean? People in this movement have made mistakes and stuff like that, but nothing compared to what this other side has done. I mean, you had people showing up at Erica's work. We've been out at Legacy Place when they've drove by and threatened us.
I'm talking about Erica Walsh, who was arrested for wearing the criminals, what was it? Criminals Control Norfolk County. Arrested, cuffed, etc.
But somebody in the McCabe world showed up at Erica's work as intimidation. You know what I mean? And we know in this movement what has been done, and there's some charges that should be on that side that they're fully aware, and Michael Morrissey is protecting them. Here he is protecting them, but yet going after Aiden. It's disgusting.
Right. I've been saying since the verdict, where's Michael Morrissey? Well, he made an appearance on 4th of July, and we'll play it for you folks at some point because it's amusing. Did you see it? He's just booed. He's booed as he's walking the parade route, or as he's waddling the parade route. He's a large man.
He's a large man, and because he's full of shit. But look at where we're at. Why is he not gone? Like, why? Here in Massachusetts, to me, when someone's doing something that bad, we should be able to boot their butts out of office. I mean, if we're at work and we did horrible things, we would get fired immediately by HR. You know what I mean? And it's so tough. He needs to be gone. Michael Morrissey, you are done for anyways. We might have to wait till 2026, but your fat ass is going to be out of here.
We're almost there. I mean, we're halfway to 2026. Okay, and your passion is unbelievable. You are a great spokesperson, whether it happened purposefully or just happened. But you have to believe that a lot of the things you want can't happen here because of the people involved, Morrissey and others. Am I right about that?
No, I mean, realistically looking at stuff, it goes so high. But you know what? We're not going to shut up. So we're going to do as much as we can. We're not going to shut up. So we're going to make it loud. We're going to keep at this. So they can, we might not be able to remove people from office and stuff, but right now we just showed the world that go and vote in your small town elections. That's where it starts. You know what I mean? The planning boards, the selectmen, the mayors, all that. That's where it's going to start to slowly get rid of it. And if people are put into, there's Lauren. If people are put into office and we slowly take back a little bit of control, it's going to matter. So we might not get things in the next year, 2 years, but down the line, it's going to make a difference. And I have to believe in that. I have to believe.
Okay, I'm going to make that a tease for the rest of it. It's going to be posted at 8 o'clock, the balance of that interview. She's something. And she is a force. From the day that we first ran into one another, and you, Will, that same day. And so she's just the manifestation of all the frustrations people have in this area. And I had so many people come up to me today from outside the area, and I would ask, well, where are you? Because I'm always curious who's coming in as kind of a supporter on the fringes and who's suffering right now under the regime, right? And most of the people here are within 10 miles. And so they know exactly what the fight is about, and they are happy to at least share in it as best they can. And with people like Dina leading, they got a shot. I had to be honest, though, it's not an easy fight to knock all of these guys and women out of roles. We know the chief of police is gone now, Rafferty, right? We know one of the select persons in Canton gone, Connolly, right? So they're taking some of the building blocks away, but man, it's a structure that they gotta have some help to dismantle.
Yeah, the cool thing about the boots on the ground people is there's actually quite a lot of leadership in that group, and that's why Dina is so modest about it, is because there are a lot of people who show a lot of leadership with their own strengths, and the thing is they're just so organized when it comes to exercising their First Amendment rights and not giving anyone any reason to criticize them for what they're doing. They're not crossing any lines. They're not doing anything that is arguably over the line. They're just, you know, expressing themselves. They're peacefully standing out there. And Dina sets an amazing example, and she has earned so much respect out there because she has set such a great example and will inspire people to follow that example. I think that they're just the most amazing group of people that I've ever met. And you, Michael, just, you know, you being out there, you know, and always giving them a voice is so important because your channel's growing. And this is I love the way you guys have been handling this because your hearts are completely, you're totally following your hearts here. And it's very clear to everybody what you're doing here. And it's amazing.
Yeah, appreciate that, Will. There were probably 100 or so here today, and a lot of what I'd call new faces. Obviously not the numbers that we saw in the Karen Reid matter, or certainly not on the day of the verdict. But there are no limitations now. So you want to come down here, you heard some horn honking, you know, you want to honk your horn, you want to have a sign that says Free Turtle Boy or you know, God bless Karen Reid or whatever you want. No cops were here today. Were you a little surprised at that, Will? There were just the court officers, and that's it.
I didn't notice that. That is surprising. That's pretty surprising. I mean, I guess they just didn't expect as much of a turnout for Turtle Boy. But the thing is August, I'm quite certain that August 13th, come that day, there's going to be twice as many people out there as there was today.
Totally agree. Yep.
And I'm really excited to see that. I cannot express right now how excited I am to see so many YouTube channels covering this because it is so important. And to see you guys so passionate about it, to see the law tubers so passionate about it, to see, you know, talking to Andrea Burkhart today, she was just very, you know, I was saying how important that was, how important this is, that she was just agreeing with everything because, you know, I would imagine any passionate attorney is going to feel strongly about this, much less anybody who considers themselves even remotely some style of journalist. You cannot, I mean, when you think about it, what Turtle Boy is doing is he's taking the brunt of he's, you know what I'm saying? Like you're
it's on his shoulders. It's all on his shoulders, and his family. Let's not forget his family too.
Yeah,
everybody's First Amendment rights are at risk, and he's the one that's taking all of that and having to fight the fight. You know.
Yep, you're right. And you know, his immediate family, his significant other, who has been so strong. She seemed a little
Meredith. Yeah,
Meredith seemed a little quieter today, almost like.
Tired,
you know, tired of it, and
tired.
The whole thing.
You just gotta try to imagine what it's like being Turtle Boy's girlfriend.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I've talked to her about that, you know, privately, just about how, you know, that support is unbelievable, and to be unwavering. You know, don't discount what you do for the process here, because he's got to have somebody privately to just, you know, rely on, vent on, other than you, Will, of course. You know, to share those things. She
is so sweet and so amazing. I the other night during Alan Jackson's interview with Turtle Boy, I typed in the chat and I saw that my wrench was gone, and then I kept trying to see if, you know, what happened. What, you know, I messaged her. I was like, hey, listen, I hate to bother you, you know, because of the timing and everything, but did I do something wrong? You know? And then she was like, what? No, that's got to be a mistake. And she like got on it and talked to the managing moderator. And apparently I got hidden by accident by whoever, you know.
Oh, you just gave Michel Bryant an excuse for why I'm no longer an administrator.
So how does that work exactly?
How does that work? They may need your representation.
But she, like, I mean, and it was just because, like, I really wanted to, like, be in that chat for that because it's Alan Jackson, you know what I mean? And it's Turtle Boy's audience, and, you know, it's the chat of chats that I really wanted to be a part of and interact and share that with people. and share that experience with them. And it sucks, but she didn't have to do that. She could have just been like, I'll take care of it. I'm sorry. I'll take care of it after. But she like just got diligent about it and was like, no. We love you here. That's unacceptable. Let me figure out, let me message this person. And then they fixed it and it was great. Cool. And she did not have to do that. She could have just been like, dude, I
got other things going on. Maybe
right.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. Boston Lisa says, "Will, please come." Well, you've been here, so check out your schedule.
I'm certain that I will be there at some point to support Aiden. I'm certain of it.
Yeah, I know. We know you will. And Michael Dots, Richie's still with us. He was with us this afternoon. He says, our Michael's still there on the ground. Yes, he is. I mean, turn around, Michael. Look around you. Michael Bryant, look around you.
I'm looking around.
Look who's still here.
Yeah, it's a ghost town.
It's a ghost 15.
Yeah.
Trip
and
15.
I think Starlink is turning on me now. Although, again, shout out to Starlink. Ripped off the truck by the wind, still cranking away. So,
wow.
That's worth the price of admission. All right. Anything? I'm gonna get out of here. Anything else going on, Will? Anything else you want to promote? Anything else you're doing? Anything happening?
Well, let's see. I'm just going to I'm going to start over and just deep dive into Turtle Boy's case. That's going to be the majority of my content. I think I've decided. I went over his charging documents before. I did it in 5 live streams and just went over each charge.
Wow.
And I think I'm going to do that again, just to educate people and hopefully get more people. I think what I'm going to start doing is just clipping a lot of my content and cranking it out. Just hoping to gain more subscribers and get more attention on Aiden's case. And I think I'm going to, and then of course, there's the Patreon thing that I'm doing lately, which is, where I ruin movies for you, your favorite movies that turn out to
What's the latest? I know, cause the Notebook was, you just ripped a new one to that. What's the latest?
I did. The first one I did was Top Gun. Then I did the Notebook. And then I just did with Mazza Media. He joined me. This is the first time I had a guest. I had Mazza Media on. We did Point Break, and it was so much fun.
Yeah,
so I don't know what the next
one's going to be. I might join you on that one.
Well, you know what? But let me tell you one other thing. One other thing you should be doing is garnering support, and Michael, you and I should be doing this too. There has to be organizations, legal organizations, that will join Turtle Boy's fight. All right, just because he's a YouTuber, as they think he is, like the mass media says, oh, this was podcaster or blogger or whatever. He's a journalist, and they have to join this fight. And what bothers me is the Norfolk County Bar Association honored Judge Kearney, right?
Yeah.
The Welcher firm bought a table or something at the state bar association, whatever. And if the power is going to pay for that, then somebody has to garner the journalists and the lawyers, who are all First Amendment lawyers, to get them behind Turtle Boy. Turtle Boy is a journalist. He's not just, as they want to say, they make you somebody you're not, a mere presence because he has a blog.
I have some strong thoughts on that, Linda, because the mainstream media, when you notice what mainstream media does when they talk about Aiden's case, well, they don't really talk about his case much. But when they do, they always refer to him as a blogger. And they don't do it they don't try to villainize him, because that makes him interesting. So if they villainize him, it makes him interesting. What they want to do is minimize him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very dismissive.
Because exactly. And the reason for that is because Turtle Boy represents a direct threat to mainstream media.
No
what
doubt.
He represents is a direct threat. And so
okay.
Oh, they totally did that on purpose. No, I'm kidding. But Turtle Boy represents a direct threat to mainstream media. So what's interesting about this and what's happening with Turtle Boy is there is an opportunity here. It's a long shot, but Aiden has the opportunity with enough exposure. He can absolutely take the trust, the public trust that mainstream media has already lost. It's up for grabs now. Mainstream media has already lost the public trust. So it's up for grabs. there's an opportunity here to give Aiden as much exposure as possible and put that public trust in the hands of independent journalism.
Right.
And that just means that all of us have to just agree through good faith to conduct ourselves ethically, and earn that. And so Aiden is doing that. And he's leading the way right now, because he's the one in the hot seat. And the best thing we can do is support him and give him as much exposure as possible, because we get the public on his side. You got yourself an opportunity here, a golden one. And because the biggest problem right now is the fact that we can't trust our news sources.
Yep. Let me button that up with an interesting event that took place just before I came back on this afternoon. I showed Linda this. Can you see the name on there? Oh, it's all reversed. Why am I reversed? I'm inverted.
No, it's not here.
Okay.
Not to us. We can read it.
Okay, so you can read
it.
that. And what does that say?
John DePietro, marketing
Now,
advisor.
This is not the same John DePietro. It's a guy who's hooked up with
It's spelled differently.
It's Worcester.com. It's a I don't know, publication, online, something or other. He wanted to interview me, and he did, and we talked about that exact thing, Will, about how, as I described it, the legacy media, they're dead. That's done.
Yep.
The cable guys, they got one foot in the grave. The future is what we're doing, and I don't mean to say we're doing it, but I mean this. Oh, excuse me, just a moment. The folks that are streaming, and I told him, I'm brutally honest about it. I said, doesn't mean everything is good. I mean, this kind of accessibility.
Good Lord.
Boy, they don't like what we're talking about.
My truck's on fire.
Do you smell smoke?
This kind of accessibility breeds every kind of content you can imagine, good, bad, or otherwise. But that's okay, because instead of somebody in a room somewhere at the corporate level deciding what you should watch, what you should see, what you should think, the viewer gets to pick and choose from everything that is out there. And that's the way it should be. And that's why this type of format will gobble up the traditional legacy media to the degree it hasn't already. So
it already is.
Yeah,
it already is.
I'm
I
with
mean, you look at the kind of chat that Melanie Little will accumulate in one of her live streams versus what Court TV will accumulate.
Yeah.
And she dominates. You know what I'm saying? So it's already happening. Like Court TV really, really burned a lot of credibility with the public in their coverage of the Karen Reid case. Like, let's just be honest here. Vinny was the only thing holding it together at all. And he was still kind of on the fence, you know? But at least he had guests that had different opinions on the case, you know?
And I'm fine with that.
Had different,
yeah.
Right. That's great. But you know, you had Julie Grant, who was just trying to create this echo chamber, which is really bizarre that and Microdots, who's in the chat right now. What's up, homie?
Richie. How you doing, Richie?
Yeah. He did a video and he showed that Julie Grant was free Karen Reid at first. She thought she was innocent from the beginning. And then the more evidence that became exculpatory for her, she flips. That tells me she's being paid or she has an agenda of some kind.
I mean, like, maybe this will get me. I'll stand out so I can get, you know,
something,
whatever attention I need to get.
But the way that she handled that case is completely irresponsible.
There's nobody that goes into this case thinking guilt, and then the more they learn, think more guilty. That's right. That's ridiculous. You might go in neutral, as we did, and then say, "What do they got? What do they got here? What do they got? Oh, they got nothing. They got nothing, and it's worse than nothing."
Hey, Will, Michael, I got to interrupt both of you. My sister's in the chat. Will, say hello to my sister, Joan. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joan.
Joan.
I got to interrupt you because family's always first.
Joan.
Family first, Joan.
Family first.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Family first. Okay. Now I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Family first. Mwah.
Okay. Well, Joan, I've got to go. Will, I've got to go. LKB, I've got to go. So I'm going to go.
Love you, Michael.
Hey, buddy, thanks for jumping on so quick. We love you. It's always a pleasure, and your insights are amazing. And, you know, check your calendar. August 13th, you know, I'll pull up another chair right here. Pull up a chair.
That's a little too soon for my blood.
No,
but
all right. Okay. All right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Like, something's gonna make me drag my crippled ass out there at some point.
Yeah.
I'm
How's
sure.
the foot?
It's healing, but it's sure taking its damn time, man.
Yeah.
I hate complaining about it. But it's just more than anything, it's just I'm tired of it. I'm over it. Like, please, I want to get back to my routine. I want to go to the gym. I want, you know, I'm getting pale. I'm getting fat. It's like, come on, you know. So
your brain is working. Your brain is working fine, and your passion is as passionate as ever.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, I'm definitely not going away. But
all right.
Well, Citizen Media, by the way, is from London. Pearl Deviv. I can't show anything anymore.
Which one?
So,
There's one from London. Oh, I would show that.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
Return to Revolutionary Freedom
is amazing. By the way,
Pearl
Pearl is one of the coolest people I've ever known.
It's why we need to support Turtle Boy.
Darkest humor ever.
So
she's. I got to tell you guys a quick little story about Pearl since we got almost 2,000 people in here. So Pearl is one of my favorite people in the world, and she's in England, and she is paralyzed from the waist down. And she asked me how my knee was in someone's chat, and I was like, I'm not going to complain about my knee to you, Pearl. And she goes, well, that's cool because I can't feel mine. So
Pearl, you are cool.
I'm like,
Pearl,
I hate you for making me laugh at that, Pearl.
Yeah, thank you, Pearl.
But she's amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Pearl. Pearl, you're great. So yes. Anyhow, thank you, Will, so much. We really appreciate it. I know I may have missed a couple. I apologize if I did tonight. You know, I must have done something wrong to lose my privileges. Maybe it was giving the finger that night to somebody in one of my rants. I don't know, but God has stricken me down, making me Michel Bryant. I don't know. Anyhow, you got to hit subscribe, like, share, notify, but you also got to go to Will's channel.
Yep.
And hit subscribe, like, share, notify to his, right?
And the Patreon. What's the handle for that?
I don't even know. Oh, I got a wrench.
All right, way to sell it.
He's got it. He's got it.
Yeah, I've got a wrench in here, so I'll drop.
And also he's also on X, Twitter, Twitter X. At T Glare, and someday he'll tell us the story again for the new people in the chat. AI baby Will the Glare needs blue eyes. Ooh,
I do have blue eyes.
Yeah, but my finger. Chloe Albert's revenge said my fingers were off the screen. Now this is true, but it was a nice manicure, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, Will, we'll see you next time, bud.
Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Thanks, Will.
Okay, I am going to get out of here.
I know. And then
before the hurricane or whatever's coming, I'm not sure what it is.
And tomorrow night, 6:00, I guess we're going to be. By the way, we have another To Making account. If you could post that, and we have a Sun show where Linda and Michael's sons help host one night. It would be so fun. Oh,
that would be
our dogs.
That would
be and 2B and Domino. Yeah. So I guess tomorrow night we're going to just do our regular show at 6:00 because the appearances on Diddy, which we're going to be tomorrow, are actually going to be by Zoom in the courtroom. So you got to go in the courtroom to watch a Zoom. It's silly. It's just silly to have the judge do what the judge probably already decided.
It's public, but all appearances are by Zoom. And it's really, as I understand it, going to be a fight about how do we move up the October 3rd current sentencing date.
Right.
That's the biggest issue. I thought they might try and come up with another argument.
Oh, I think we may have lost Michael. All right, so I'm going to tell you that we will be on 6:00 tomorrow night. We're also going to start taking a dive into the Brian Walsh case to see how bad people have the bad people in this case. The corruption may cause this Franken monster,
anyway,
if he is guilty, to go free. All right, I'm just telling him what our event is, and then also we're going to be doing some taping. We decided the best way to do who killed Stephanie is actually to do a tape show first to set it all out for you, and then we can do live shows where we have input and contact. So I will. Yes. So we have a lot coming up, Michael Bryant.
All right. Well, Joan is telling me to go back. See
my
if Domino
sister
can find his spots. So.
She does have a sense of humor. I love her.
All righty.
Everybody, see you
until
night.
then, I'm Michel Bryant. Try to do the right thing, partner.
And I'm Linda Kenny Bodden. Hit subscribe, like, share, and notify. And we'll see you at 6 tomorrow night.
Just try